the girls, let me see your hands. Wave them at them bitches hating on you with their friends. Girl, you.
So hi guys, it's Precious Bria. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a review for Love is Blind season 7. This is going to be for episodes 5 and 6. We're going to start off with Leo and Brittany. So they finally get to see each other. Once Brittany immediately sees Leo, I can see the disappointment in her face. You can tell by her body language that she is not physically attracted to Leo. Leo was all over her, kissing her, blah, 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 blah. And she's just giving that, you know, I want this man to stop touching me, but I don't want to say that. He's asking her, is it weird to be engaged? She says yes. Now, because of this experiment and the super fast timeline and stuff like that, I can see why it was weird, but I don't think it was weird in that type of way. I think it's weird in the way where I would never talk to you in real life. She then asks him, if we were to meet in real life, do you think that we would ever like date? And he was like, no. And she was like, yeah, I don't think so either. She then immediately, well, not immediately, it was super awkward. She said, wow, this is so awkward. It was super awkward. She then goes, instead of going to the honeymoon, why don't we go to Miami? He's like, yeah, sure, we can go to Miami. And she's like, no, like instead of the honeymoon, emphasizing again, let's just go to Miami. So they went to Miami and they break up a few weeks later. Now, Leo did all of that and he would have honestly been better off just proposing to Hannah. Do I think that him and Hannah would have necessarily worked out? I don't think so. But I do think that he really played himself because, like I said, Leo is not conventionally attractive. And again, we live in a very shallow world. Brittany was gorgeous. Like she said, she is a trophy wife. When men see her, men want to marry her. They think she's gorgeous. All she has to do is be pretty. She says that she only dates like athletes and just well-off men. And then for Leo to like play on her insecurities the way he did, it was just like insane. So I could have called that in the real world. And I think I said it they were never going to last in the real world. I don't know if I said it, but I was thinking it. So now I'm saying it. And I was right. So then, you know, they're off the show. We won't see them. I'm interested to see if they're going to actually bring Brittany back to meet the other guys at some point. But I guess it's pointless because she didn't really have any strong connections. It seemed like she was like all about Leo from the beginning. So now the couples are on the honeymoon and we can go to Hannah and Nick B. Hannah and Nick B basically have this conversation where Nick B lets her know that whatever intimate moments they have, he wants them to stay between them two. He doesn't want to speak about it with the producers. And to me, this kind of he says that it's because he has a brand and he doesn't want to look a certain type of way on television, which I understand. I think that you're an adult and I don't think there's anything wrong with you having a physical relationship with your fiance because technically he's engaged. I think there is a classy way to go about it, to be like, you know, we've been intimate, whatever, and then moving on. But I also can understand that maybe the real classy thing is to not talk about it. So I get that other side of things, but I'm going to dig deeper. And I'm going to say that the reason why he didn't originally want to say that he was physically intimate with her is because he's ashamed of her. She's not someone that he would typically go for. And I think that was the motivation behind saying that he doesn't want to talk about their intimate times together. Again, Hannah ends up talking about how she feels that Nick B lied about how he looked. He emphasized him, you know, playing sports and made it seem like he was a much bigger guy and he's just not that, but she's still willing to work through it because she essentially still wants to be with him. So then we get to see the interactions with some of the other couples. Moving on to Marissa and Rams. I think that they're super cute together. Clearly, they're very physically attracted to one another. But they do end up having a conversation, and she basically said that in the past, he was her type, but she would never date her type. She typically dated men that were in the army and had a strong opinion about like gender roles and relationships. and weren't really in touch with their emotional side and weren't emotionally intelligent or as emotionally intelligent. And she's excited to date someone that is like that, but it kind of felt like a little bit of a jab, in my opinion, just the way she worded it, saying, you know, I wouldn't usually date soft men. And he's like, well, I'm like emotional. And she's like, yeah, like I wouldn't have typically dated you in the real world. And I was just like, I don't know. I thought that was a little bit shady, but I could be wrong. It was shady. So with Alex and Tim, again, I really like Alex. Up until this point, I don't feel like I've gotten a real good understanding of what Alex's personality is like. But what I will say is that in person, I feel like Tim is getting on Alex's nerves. Tim's little quirky, corny jokes and, you know, him constantly talking about the dogs and stuff like that, I really think that it's irritating Alex. And if she's being irritated and essentially he's like showing icks, I just don't foresee the relationship lasting super long. And so I'm interested to see how long they're going to, like how far they're going to be able to make it, because it just really seems like Tim's personality, just like genuinely who he is getting on her nerves. With the dog thing, she tried to set a boundary and be like, okay, like, you know, we're done with the dog thing. And he just was not having it. He was like, I love that it gets on your nerves. I'm going to keep on saying it. And that's just, that can be annoying, especially if you don't have like a lot of patience. And she also said that she doesn't have a lot of patience. And some people have said that she is hot-headed and stuff like that. So I just don't foresee them lasting. And then ironically, after everyone gets to meet each other, after all of the couples get to meet each other and have a conversation with each other, what ends up happening? And this is towards the end of the episode, but we see that they got into an argument. Allegedly, the argument was basically because she was frustrated because she was just ready to go home. I don't think it's that. I think that his personality gets on her nerves and she just had enough, and so she snapped. When she snapped, they get into this big argument. And this is when he kept saying like bite back and bulldog and, you know, kind of like this pull and tug relationship or whatever. But then also in the same breath said, I don't like to argue, which you can have someone hold you accountable without an argument, but he just, in my opinion, he just gives like this immature vibe, and it just was giving that it wasn't going to be an adult-like conversation. Now, I do think that she was at fault. Apparently, she said a bunch of things that were very disrespectful. She was calling him out of his name and just basically venting about, at that point, about all of the things that was getting on her nerves that he was doing. And so I just don't really know how they're going to be able to move forward. He doesn't know how they're going to be able to move forward at this point. She apologizes. She does want to move forward. She's saying that she just had, you know, an emotional moment, but it's giving that's her personality, and it's giving that's his personality. And sometimes you're just not compatible. Sometimes you have to be in person with somebody to see their mannerisms, to see their body language, to really get a feel of who they are as a person, to understand if you are compatible with that person. Not sometimes, all the time. And it's giving, in my opinion, that they are not compatible. And then we can move on to my faves, Ashley and Tyler. So Ashley and Tyler are in a really good place right now. We see them being, Ashley talks about like some lingerie that she has, and she basically wants to wear this lingerie with her. She then quickly gets into her being celibate or technically abstinent, and why she went about, you know, that journey, and basically is giving she's ready to bust it wide open, period, to her fiance. And I feel her. That's her fiance. Now, what I will say is, in a typical world, this would be way too fast, in my opinion, right? Because technically they've only known each other for a few short weeks. In this specific case, being that this is an experiment, being that they're technically engaged, I think that if they're ready, if they're feeling the vibes, then, you know, do what needs to be done. Y'all grown people. As long as it's consensual, do the damn thing. So I think they're really excited about that. They also end up talking about tattoos, and Tyler agrees to get Ashley's name tatted, or a tattoo to symbolize Ashley or something. And I was like, okay. I kind of think if they're gonna go the tattoo route, I am not a fan of getting the names tatted. What works for you works for you, but I think that maybe like a symbolic thing would be cute. Maybe like a matching tattoo if you're gonna do something like that would be cute. But to get a name tat, that's a bit diabolical. He said he gonna get it right over his heart. That's cute, and that's a flex for Ashley. Oh, my man got my name tatted. But I don't know. I feel like no, we could get like a matching something. Or if they actually get married, they could get like a little matching something. But only if they actually get married. I didn't have anything for Taylor and Garrett in episode 5 because I felt like they were super cute. There wasn't any red flags at this point. I think Taylor is like super, super, super cute. Garrett is mid. But I didn't really have much to say about them. Monica and Stefan, I feel like Stefan is he's ready to dive in. Okay. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. Stefan is super ready. He is so attracted to Monica. I love that for him. In this episode, it does highlight how Stefan is not well traveled. She also talks about how, he's an electrician and he only has his associate's degree. And I think that this is going to be a concern for her. I think that this is going to be something that bothers her. And even though they're now in a place where it doesn't really matter, when you get out into the world and you meet people, the truth is people judge you based off of what you do. People judge you based off of the places that you've been. People judge you based off of the school that you went to. And so it's going to be a different environment when she's around her people that are similar to her, and then she's bringing her man around. He may feel less than, and she may begin to kind of look down on him. Now, I'm not saying that this is guaranteed, but that could be a rift that's waiting to happen in their relationship. We'll see how that plays out, though. And he also mentioned that he has a full Brazilian. Now, I don't think I've ever heard a man saying that he had a full Brazilian. I was like, interesting. I thought that was interesting. That means I thought that was interesting. I'll leave it at that. I won't say if I think it's a good thing, if I think it's a bad thing. I simply thought it was interesting. So going back to Ashley and Tyler, I should have just mixed these notes together. Tyler had a conversation and he's basically with Ashley, and he's basically telling Ashley how, we both have a past and I don't want you to be like alarmed, or I don't want nobody to be able to say anything to you if, random people pop up. And so it's giving very much so he was a hoe in these streets. He was out here thotting and bopping. And he's afraid that when they get back into the town and they announce that they're together and, word travels easily. This person tells that person tells that person. Next thing you know, somebody that you've been fucking on for the past year is engaged. You like, how the fuck you engaged? And you was just sucking on my pussy last month. What happened? And so we'll see. We'll see. She said that it doesn't matter what anybody has to say. She knows who he is. And so they're going to be able to move forward. I hope that that's the truth. I hope that he's not going to put her through the ringer. I hope that is not the case, because they are my favorite and I have hope for them. But we'll see. And then Taylor basically has concerns about Garrett not being in a relationship for the past 7 years, which I think is a legit concern. It's very difficult to transition from being a single person, not having to consider anybody else, to moving into not only a relationship, but a marriage or a very committed relationship, right? Because they're engaged, and really having to take that other person into consideration at all turns. That's now your person. You cannot move as a single person. And so we'll see how that plays out as well. And at this point, I do also want to mention that everybody on the honeymoon has pretty much been intimate. The only couple, everyone at this point has pretty much been physically intimate. The only couple that hasn't been is Taylor and Garrett. They want to wait. I don't know what Taylor said, but they haven't been intimate yet. And I don't think, and Monica and Stefan have not gone, I think she said they did like foreplay, but they haven't gone all the way as well. I say that to say, that's very interesting because I feel like usually the couples wait a little bit longer. So it's interesting that they jumped right in. And another thing that I wanted to say is the way that they shot this season, I really like it a lot. We got to see a bunch of different people, and we didn't only see the people that made it all the way to the honeymoon, because it's just nice to see the process of everything. So I think that the producers did a really good job at being able to show us a bunch of different stories, even though we still didn't get to see everybody that was actually picked to be on the show. We got to see a lot more stories play out, and even if they didn't work out, it's still interesting to, be along for the ride. Okay, so the last situation that we're going to quickly talk about is the Hannah and Nick B. So we know that Hannah and Nick B, they were on the beach, and Nick goes, or Nick D, whatever, Hannah and Nick, they're on the beach, and Nick goes, oh, I want to ride on the ducks. There's a 60-year-old attractive woman. He says that she was bad. Comes over and she wants to race him. So they race each other. Before they even get to race each other, before he even gets up, Hannah goes, don't do that. That's going to give me the ick. He goes, I don't really care. He still proceeds to go and get on the duck. This is when this other woman comes in. Now, him and the woman, they race or whatever. And I guess she says something. Hannah says something to Nick at that point. And then the lady goes, oh, I guess your girlfriend, something about your girlfriend won't, da-da-da-da, this bitch. Something about a bitch. And Nick laughed. And Hannah was upset, rightfully so, because you're my fiance. If somebody walks up to you that you don't know and calls me a bitch, you should be like, no, like, that's my fiance. She can do what she wants. If she wants me to come over there, I am. You walk away. Say something like that. Like, it's not that he needed to escalate the situation, but for you to laugh, or at least don't laugh and just walk away from her, let her know that that's not serious if you're not super confrontational. But to laugh is like giving her the okay, like what she said was okay. And, there is no problem. Like, talk about my fiance like that. That's insane. And to his defense, he was kind of like, well, she was 60 and it's not that serious. And when I watched the clip, to me, it seemed like he was a little bit flirty. I guess flirty could be friendly. So maybe it was friendly and it wasn't flirty. I can't really say, but it was giving flirty in my opinion. And if I was Hannah, I would have also had a problem with that. And then even when all of the guys, they sat down and they were talking to the girls, and the girls put them in the hot seat. Out of all of the guys, Nick was the only one that was really, he enjoys women attention. He enjoys the attention from women, and he enjoys like being super flirty. He was like flirting with Marissa a little bit. And Hannah had to say something like, let's be respectful. And he just doesn't care. And I just don't really see them lasting long. I think he's a flirt. Do I think there's anything wrong with being a flirt? I don't, if you have a partner that doesn't mind that. But if you have a partner that doesn't like that and maybe a little bit insecure, and that's just like a strong boundary for them, then it's just not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not. And I didn't think that Hannah and Nick would even last this long, because I stand by what I said when they first saw each other. I don't think that he's attracted to her. And I don't think that she's attracted to him. I just think that she wants to stick it out because she has put so much into this. And I don't think that Nick wants to come off like the bad guy, so he won't break it off. He also mentioned, he might have been being sarcastic, but he did say something about, so what, you just want to end it now? And it could have been sarcastic. Sometimes people try to cover up the truth with humor. So it could very much well be he's just trying to cover up the truth with humor. And he then gets upset with Hannah because after the whole duck situation, she went back to the hotel and she wrote down kind of like a pros and cons list. That is so me, okay? I am so quick to make a pros and cons list and see if this person needs to be in my space, because don't play with me. And he was hurt by some of the things that she wrote on there, calling him basically like immature. Well, she said mature question mark and all of this other stuff. I think that it's all legit. Again, I think that she's forcing herself to continue on with this situation, and I think he's doing the same. And I do not think that it's going to last at all. She also has a conversation with one of the girls. I think she has a conversation with Marissa about him not wanting to talk about sex on TV. And she does make it known that they did have sex by that point. And after they had that conversation, she kept on talking about, to him separately though, or privately, yeah, like all of the couples had sex and da 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 da. And then he was just like, well, you know, if you want to talk about us, then we can. And he's like, well, did we have sex? And she's like, no. And I'm like, girl, I can kind of justify why he would be like, don't talk about sex on camera. I can justify that. I'm a private person. The truth is, I'll probably be like, we're not talking about that on camera. What I will say was, why are you so thirsty to bring it up? Why? I feel like she was the first. I feel like it's something weird is going on there, is what I'll say. Something very weird is going on there. But that's where we are at this point. Once they release the new episodes, I'll come back and I'll give you guys my opinion on that. So far, I think that this season is really, really good. I love that they have so many couples and that we got to follow so many couples' journeys. I'm just excited to see who's going to make it down the aisle. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I hope to see you guys in another video.